The emergency lights flashed red across the council chamber on Apex Prime Station. Ambassador slammed his clawed hand on the table, his scales turning dark purple with anger. Around the circular room, representatives from 40 different species watched him with varying degrees of concern. "The humans must be stopped," hissed. His voice echoed through the translation devices worn by every council member. "They expand their colonies into disputed territories. They ignore our warnings. They show no respect for established boundaries." Council leader raised one of his forearms, calling for order. The ancient being's crystalline body reflected the chamber lights, casting rainbow patterns across the walls. "Ambassador, the Empire signed the same colonization treaties as humanity. The border world Haven 7 falls within open territory." "That is not why I called this emergency session," said. He activated a holographic display in the center of the room. "3 cycles ago, my warriors encountered a threat on that world, a threat that injured 3 trained soldiers." The hologram showed a human child, small and thin, with brown hair and simple clothes. Next to him sat a strange creature, about the size of a large dog, with white fur and a stocky body. Lisa, the human representative, leaned forward. She had represented Earth's colonies for 5 years, and she knew trouble when she saw it. "That's Morgan. He's 12 years old. What happened?" His eyes narrowed. "My soldiers were conducting a routine patrol near the human settlement. They found this child alone in the forest. Commander M approached to question him about human expansion plans. The child released his beast." The hologram changed, showing medical reports. 3 soldiers lay in hospital beds, wrapped in regeneration bandages. Deep claw marks covered their arms and faces. One had lost part of his ear. Another had wounds across his chest that had nearly reached his vital organs. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Several species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Your commander threatened a child," Lisa said calmly. "What did you expect would happen?" "That creature is a savage killer," snapped. "It should be destroyed. The child should be punished for releasing it on my warriors." Gestured to Doctor, a biologist from the species. The scientist approached the hologram and began entering data. "I have analyzed the creature. It is called a honey badger, native to Earth." The council chamber fell silent. Earth. Every species in the galaxy knew about Earth. High gravity, extreme weather, predators everywhere, deadly diseases, poisonous plants. The fact that humans had evolved there at all seemed impossible. That they had thrived there was terrifying. "How dangerous is this animal?" asked Representative X from the Helix Combine. Doctor pulled up data files. "Honey badgers are classified as one of Earth's most fearless predators. Their skin is thick enough to resist bites from larger predators and even some blade weapons. Their claws can tear through wood and metal. They have been observed fighting animals 10 times their size. They do not retreat. They do not submit. They defend their territory and their companions to the death." The chamber erupted in nervous conversation. Several representatives stood, demanding that all humans be removed from border worlds immediately. Others argued that one animal should not dictate policy. Lisa remained calm. She had expected this. "May I show the full recording of the incident?" Tried to object, but allowed it. The hologram shifted, showing forest footage from 3 cycles ago. Morgan walked through the trees, carrying a basket of berries. The honey badger waddled beside him, sniffing at plants and digging occasionally in the dirt. The boy hummed a song, completely at peace. Then 4 soldiers appeared, surrounding him. Commander M stepped forward, energy rifle pointed at the ground but ready to raise. His voice came through the translation system. "Human child, you are in restricted territory. Explain your presence." Stopped walking. He set down his basket carefully. "This isn't restricted territory. The treaty allows us to gather food here. I'm just picking berries." "You will come with us for questioning," M said. He reached for Sarm. That was when moved. The honey badger became a blur of white fur. He hit M's arm before the soldier could touch, claws tearing through the uniform. The commander screamed and stumbled back. 2 other soldiers raised their rifles but was already moving. He dodged the energy blasts with impossible speed, zigzagging across the ground. He jumped, catching one soldier's arm and pulling him down. His teeth found gaps in the armor. The 3rd soldier fired wildly, missing. Released the 2nd soldier and charged the 3rd, claws extended. The soldier turned to run but caught his leg. Through it all stood perfectly still. His voice cut through the chaos, calm and clear. Come. The honey badger immediately stopped fighting. He trotted back to side, blood on his claws and face, breathing heavily but ready for more combat if needed. Looked at the wounded soldiers without sympathy or fear. I told you this was open territory. Don't threaten humans again. He picked up his basket of berries, turned and walked away. Followed at his heels, looking back once to make sure the soldiers stayed down. The hologram ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. The child gave them warning, said Representative L from the peaceful species. He defended himself only after they attempted to detain him unlawfully. That beast nearly killed my warriors, protested. Your warriors threatened a child from Lisa said. They're lucky they survived. On Earth, there are predators that make honey badgers look gentle. We teach our children to handle dangerous situations. Did everything right. He avoided conflict until physical force was used against him. Then he defended himself and showed mercy by stopping the fight before your soldiers were killed. Raised all four arms, calling for complete silence. His crystalline face showed deep thought. This council has faced many challenges, but we have never encountered a situation quite like this. A child from bonded to one of that world's predators living in our colonization zones. The humans should remove the child and the creature, demanded. The child has broken no laws, said. However, Ambassador raises a valid concern. Other species may attempt to test this child to challenge him or capture his companion. This could lead to more violence. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. If the council forced to leave Haven 7, it would set a terrible precedent. Humans would be seen as weak, needing to hide their children from the galaxy. Continued. Therefore, I propose a new regulation. Rule 7 of the Colonial Contact Charter. No species represented in this council may approach, threaten, or confront the human child Morgan or his companion creature. Any violation will result in immediate suspension of council privileges and removal of protection for that species' colonies. The chamber erupted again, roared in protest. Several species argued that this gave humans 6 months had passed since Rule 7 went into effect, and Haven 7 colony was thriving. The human settlement had expanded from 50 buildings to nearly 200. Fields of earth crops grew in neat rows, adjusted for the local soil. Trade ships arrived weekly, carrying supplies and taking back agricultural products. Morgan had become something of a local legend. Children asked their parents if they could see, always from a safe distance. The honey badger had grown larger and more protective, but he remained gentle with the colonists. He followed everywhere, sleeping at the foot of the boy's bed each night. On this particular morning, walked into the forest north of the colony. He carried a collection bag and a scanner device. Dr. Chris Hayes, the colony medical officer, had asked him to gather samples of a local plant that showed promise for treating infections. Knew the forest well. He had mapped most of it over the past 6 months. Waddled ahead, sniffing at roots and occasionally stopping to dig for insects. The honey badgers and white fur was clean, brushed regularly by. His claws clicked against stones in the path. What didn't know was that they were being watched. Captain X of the Crimson Fang pirate group crouched in the trees 200 meters away. The mercenary was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with red-scaled skin and 4 arms. Each arm held a weapon. He had heard about Rule 7, about the human child and his dangerous pet. He had laughed when his crew told him the story. A small human and a dog-sized animal, he had said. The galaxy is afraid of that. X saw an opportunity. Research facilities across the galaxy would pay fortunes for a live honey badger from Earth. Private collectors would pay even more for the famous boy and his pet. Rule 7 only applied to council species. Pirates answered to no council. He gestured to his crew. 4 pirates moved into position, forming a circle around his location. They carried energy nets and stun weapons. The plan was simple. Hit the boy with a stun blast, capture the animal in a net, and escape before colony security noticed. Knelt beside a cluster of purple flowers, scanning them with his device. The plants matched Dr. Hayes' description. He began carefully cutting stems and placing them in his bag. Suddenly stopped digging. His head came up, nose twitching. A low growl rumbled in his throat. "What is it, boy?" asked. He had learned to trust instincts. The pirates burst from the trees simultaneously. X fired his stun weapon at. The boy dove to the side, the energy blast missing him by centimeters. Two pirates threw energy nets, trying to trap. The honey badger moved like lightning. He dodged the first net, his thick body surprisingly agile. The second net clipped his back leg, but his dense fur and skin prevented it from getting a grip. Spun, jaws snapping, and caught the net in his teeth. He yanked hard, pulling the pirate holding it forward and off balance. Rolled behind a tree, his heart pounding. He had been in danger before, but never like this. 4 armed attackers, professional fighters. He couldn't run, they would catch him. He couldn't hide, they had already found him. But he had. Defend, called out in English. The language command was something they had practiced, though never in a real fight. The honey badger exploded into action. He hit the first pirate low, going for the legs. His claws found gaps in the armor, tearing through the flexible joint covers. The pirate screamed and fell, was already moving to the next target. X fired again, but was too fast. The honey badger zigzagged through the undergrowth, making himself nearly impossible to hit. He reached the second pirate and jumped, catching the alien's weapon arm. His teeth found flesh. The pirate dropped his stun weapon and tried to shake off, but the honey badger held on with incredible grip strength. "Shoot the animal," X roared. The third pirate raised an energy rifle, aiming at, saw the danger. He grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it as hard as he could. The rock hit the pirate's helmet, not hard enough to hurt, but enough to ruin his aim. The energy blast went wide. Released the second pirate and charged the third. The pirate tried to back away, but his foot caught on a root. He fell and was on him instantly, claws raking across his chest armor. The armor held, but the force of the attack drove the air from the pirate's lungs. The fourth pirate grabbed from behind. "Got the boy," he shouted. His head snapped around. His eyes locked on the pirate holding. Every muscle in the honey badger's body tensed. He made a sound that had never heard before, a snarl so deep and primal that it seemed to vibrate the air. The pirate's grip loosened slightly. "It's just an animal," he said, but his voice shook. Charged, he covered the distance in seconds, moving faster than it ever seen. The pirate released and tried to raise his weapon, but hit him like a missile. They went down together, rolling across the forest floor. The pirate's armor cracked under the assault. Claws found every weak point, every gap, every vulnerable spot. "Stop!" yelled. The honey badger froze immediately, one paw raised for another strike. The pirate beneath him was conscious but badly wounded, his armor torn in a dozen places. X stood 20 meters away, all 4 weapons aimed at. "Call off your beast, human, or I shoot you both." Looked at the pirate captain calmly. His voice was steady despite his fear. "You already lost. Your crew is wounded. Colony security heard the weapons fire. They're coming. If you shoot me, we'll kill you before you can fire a second shot. Your only chance is to run." X hesitated. He had fought in 100 battles, killed dozens of enemies, raided colonies across the galaxy. But something about this human child's eyes made him pause. There was no fear there, only certainty. The sound of approaching vehicles reached them. Colony security teams moving fast through the forest. X lowered his weapons. "This isn't over, human." "Yes, it is," said. "Run while you can." The pirate captain grabbed his least wounded crew member and fled into the trees. The other 3 pirates lay on the ground, groaning in pain. Security Chief Ben arrived moments later with 6 armed guards. He took in the scene quickly. Standing unharmed, sitting calmly at the boy's side, 3 wounded pirates scattered across the clearing. "You okay, kid?" Ben asked, lowering his weapon. "I'm fine," said. "Protected me. These pirates tried to capture us. I think they wanted to sell us." Ben called for medical teams and restraint units. As guards secured the wounded pirates, he knelt next to. "That honey badger of yours just took down 4 armed raiders. I've been in combat for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like that." Stroked his head. The honey badger leaned into his hand, content now that the danger had passed. "He's not savage, he just protects me. That's what honey badgers do." The news spread across the galaxy within hours. Someone had recorded the fight on a security drone. The footage showed everything, dodging energy weapons, attacking with precision, responding instantly to his commands. It showed the honey badger's incredible speed, his fearless assault on enemies much larger than himself, his absolute refusal to back down. Galactic news networks played the video repeatedly. "Child and beast defeat armed raiders," the headlines read. Commentary programs analyzed every second of the fight. Military strategists discussed honey badger combat tactics, updated their reports on Earth's predator species. In the council chamber on Apex Prime, watched the footage with his fellow council members. Rule 7 was wise, he said quietly. Imagine if multiple species had attempted to test this child. The violence would have spread across border worlds. Ambassador, who had argued so strongly against 6 months ago, nodded slowly. The human child showed mercy. He could have ordered his beast to kill all 4 pirates. Instead, he stopped the fight as soon as they were no longer a threat. Lisa received thousands of messages from other species. Some praised humanity's restraint. Others warned that humans and their animals were too dangerous for civilized space. She ignored them all and sent a private message to Haven 7, congratulating on surviving and thanking him for showing the galaxy what humans truly valued: protection without unnecessary killing. On Haven 7, sat in the colony medical bay, watching Dr. Hayes treat the wounded pirates. The 3 raiders were conscious now, restrained to their beds, staring at with a mixture of fear and confusion. "Why are you helping us?" one of them asked. "We tried to capture you." Looked at the pirate steadily. "Because you're hurt, and because showing mercy is more important than showing strength." Sat at its feet watching the pirates with alert eyes, ready to protect his human if needed, but calm as long as remained calm. The pirate shook his head slowly. "The galaxy says humans are weak, says you need 1 year after Rule 7 went into effect. Tensions in the Galactic Council reached a breaking point. Human colonies continued expanding into open territories. Trade agreements favored Earth's agricultural products. Other species watched nervously as humanity's influence grew. Ambassador of the Helix Combine stood before the council, his segmented body rigid with frustration. "We cannot continue this way. Rule 7 has created an untouchable symbol. The humans hide behind a child and an animal while they take whatever territory they want." Lisa rose from her seat, her expression cold. "We hide behind nothing. We follow every treaty, every regulation. Our colonies exist in legally designated zones." "But you use Rule 7 as a shield," argued. "Other species fear approaching your settlements because of this boy. They worry that any conflict might bring them into violation of the rule. It gives you an unfair advantage in negotiations." Council leader gestured for calm. "What solution do you propose, Ambassador?" The Helix representative activated a holographic display. "A formal challenge. Let the boy and his beast prove their worth in controlled combat. 3 trials, each testing different aspects of survival and strength. If they succeed, humanity gains full council privileges and can expand without restriction. If they fail, humans must abandon their border colonies, including Haven 7, and retreat to their core worlds." The council chamber erupted. Half the representatives shouted in support. The other half protested that using a child for political purposes violated every civilized principle. Lisa felt cold anger rising in her chest. "Absolutely not. Morgan is 14 years old. He's not a soldier or a gladiator. We will not risk his life for your entertainment." "Then humanity admits weakness," said smoothly. "You cannot have it both ways. Either the boy is strong enough to justify your expansion, or Rule 7 proves you need special protection because humans are too fragile for frontier living." The argument continued for hours. Lisa refused every compromise, every modification to the proposal. She returned to her quarters exhausted and furious, planning to send a formal complaint to Earth's colonial administration. Her communication device beeped. A message from Haven 7 marked urgent. She opened it and saw Morgan's face on the screen. "Ambassador," said, his voice was calm, more mature than she remembered. "I heard about the challenge. I want to accept." Lisa's hands clenched. "Absolutely not. This is political manipulation. I won't allow them to use you." "They're already using me," said. "Every species in the galaxy knows my name. They know about, some respect us, but others see Rule 7 as proof that humans need protection, that we're weak." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I'm not weak, isn't just a dangerous animal. We can show the galaxy what humans really are." "You're 14. This isn't your responsibility." "Yes, it is." His eyes were steady, certain. "I volunteered to stay on a frontier world. I chose to keep when the colony offered to send him to a sanctuary. I knew what that meant. I'm not hiding behind Rule 7. I'm stepping forward." Lisa wanted to argue more, but she saw something in his expression that stopped her. This wasn't a child seeking adventure. This was a young man who understood the stakes and had made his choice. 3 days later, she sent the council her response. Humanity accepted the challenge with conditions: no lethal force in the trials, medical teams on standby. If any trial was modified without notice, the challenge ended immediately and humanity won by default. Agreed to every condition, confident in his victory. Spent the next 3 months preparing. Security Chief Ben taught him advanced combat tactics, how to read an opponent's movement, how to use terrain to his advantage. Amy Park gave him detailed briefings on different species' anatomy, their strengths and weaknesses, their fighting styles. Every day, trained within the forest, they practiced coordination drills, communication signals, tactical responses to different scenarios. The honey badger had grown to his full adult size now, nearly a meter long and powerfully built. His bond with had deepened over the years. They moved together like parts of the same organism, anticipating each other's actions. Colony residents watched the preparations with mixed feelings. Some thought was brave. Others thought he was being sacrificed for politics. Everyone worried about what would happen if he failed. The night before left for the challenge, the entire colony gathered in the central square. Dr. Hayes gave a speech about courage. Ben presented with a combat knife, simple but well-made. Children gave him drawings and good luck charms. Stood on the platform, sitting beside him, and addressed the crowd. "I'm not doing this to prove I'm strong. I'm doing this to show that humans don't need special rules. We belong in the galaxy just like every other species. Win or lose, I want everyone to know that we stood up for ourselves." The transport ship arrived the next morning. Lisa accompanied to Citadel, a neutral station built for council events. The journey took 4 days. Spent most of it in his quarters, meditating, reviewing Amy's notes, staying calm. Citadel was massive, capable of housing 50,000 beings. The amphitheater built for the challenge sat at the station's center, a circular arena 50 meters across with seating for 10,000 spectators. Energy barriers surrounded the combat floor. Medical stations lined the walls. When ship docked, crowds of aliens pressed against the viewing windows, trying to catch a glimpse of the famous human and his honey badger. Security escorts guided and Lisa through the station to private quarters near the arena. Ambassador visited that evening. He stood at the doorway, his segmented body clicking softly. "I want you to know this is not personal, young human. I simply believe the Council needs clarity about humanity's place in the galaxy." Met his eyes, "You'll get your clarity." The next morning, the arena filled with spectators. Representatives from every council species attended. Thousands more watched on live feeds across the galaxy. Walked through the tunnel leading to the arena floor, hearing the roar of the crowd grow louder with each step. Stayed close to his side, calm but alert. The honey badger's claws clicked on the metal floor. His nose twitched, taking in the strange sense of the station. They emerged into the arena. Bright lights, warm air, the press of thousands of eyes watching. Wore simple clothing, flexible and light, with boots designed for traction on different surfaces. He carried no weapons except the knife Ben had given him. The crowd's noise reached a peak, then suddenly fell silent. His voice echoed through the arena's speakers. "Morgan of Earth, you have accepted the challenge to prove humanity's strength and worth. You will face 3 trials. The first tests tactical thinking and teamwork. The second tests combat capability against a living opponent. The third tests your ultimate limits. Do you accept these terms?" His voice was clear and steady. "I accept." "Then let the first trial begin." Panels in the arena walls opened. 6 combat drones emerged, floating on anti-gravity fields. Each was armed with capture nets and stun weapons. Their sensors glowed red as they identified and as targets. The crowd leaned forward. This was it, the moment the galaxy had been waiting for. Took a breath and spoke quietly too. "Remember the drills, stay close, watch my signals." The drones spread out, forming a loose circle. They moved with mechanical precision, sensors tracking every movement. One fired a stun blast at. He dove behind a rock formation that jutted from the arena floor, the blast missing by inches. Sprinted left, drawing 2 drones away from. They followed, firing nets that the honey badger dodged with liquid grace. His training showed in every movement, controlled and purposeful. Grabbed a handful of sand from the arena floor. When a drone swooped low, he threw the sand at its sensor array. The machine's targeting wavered. rolled forward, grabbed a discarded piece of debris from an earlier event, and hurled it at the drone's anti-gravity generator. The impact wasn't hard enough to destroy it, but the drone wobbled, struggling to maintain altitude. Led his two pursuing drones toward a corner of the arena. At the last second, he dodged left. The drones, moving too fast to adjust, nearly collided, their sensors confused by each other's proximity. In that moment of confusion, jumped, catching one drone's lower housing. His weight pulled it down. It crashed against the arena floor, systems sparking. The crowd roared approval. This wasn't what they expected. The human child and the animal weren't just fighting. They were thinking, planning, using the environment and the drone's own programming against them. Signaled with a whistle, the honey badger sprinted back toward him. 3 remaining drones converged on its position, firing stun blasts in a coordinated pattern. There was nowhere to dodge. But didn't try to dodge. He stood still, watching the drones approach. At the last possible second, he dropped flat to the ground. The stun blasts passed over him and hit each other's drones. The machine's shields absorbed most of the impact, but their systems registered friendly fire and paused, running conflict resolution protocols. That pause was all needed. He was among them before they could resume the attack, claws finding wiring, teeth crunching through external sensors. One drone fell, then another. Last drone retreated, trying to get distance. Picked up a net that had missed earlier, waited at the corners. He swung it like a lasso, just like Ben had taught him, and threw. The net wrapped around the drone's housing. It struggled, motors whining, then slowly descended to the ground, woke before dawn, his mind already running through scenarios for the second trial. He sat in his quarters on Citadel, reviewing Amy Park's notes one more time. Living opponent. That could mean anything. A trained warrior. A captured predator. Someone who wanted glory enough to face a human and a honey badger. Slept at the foot of the bed, snoring softly. Even in sleep, one ear remained slightly raised, always listening for danger. Reached down and stroked the honey badger's head. Eyes opened immediately, alert. "Big day today, buddy," whispered. The arena filled even faster than the day before. Word of victory over the drones had spread across the galaxy. Betting pools had formed. Some wagered on survival. Others bet on how quickly he would fall. The crowd's energy felt different today, more intense, more anticipatory. Entered the arena to thunderous noise. Cheers mixed with jeers, support mixed with skepticism. He walked to the center at his side and waited. His voice echoed through the space. The second trial tests combat capability against a living, thinking opponent. Morgan, you will face of the Empire, a volunteer warrior who fights for honor and glory. The opposite gate opened. The crowd's noise doubled. Was massive, 3 meters tall, covered in thick scales that looked like natural armor. His forearms each held a weapon, 2 energy staffs, 1 blade, 1 shield. His eyes glowed yellow with battle eagerness. Muscles rippled beneath his scales as he moved to the center of the arena. Felt small by comparison. He was 14, barely 1.5 meters tall, thin despite colony training. He had no armor, only his knife and his wits. And the honey badger's hackles rose. A low growl rumbled in his throat, but placed a hand on his back. "Easy, wait for my signal." Stopped 10 meters away. He raised his weapons, striking them together in a traditional challenge salute. The metallic clang rang through the arena. "Human child," his voice boomed through the translation system. "I do not wish to harm you permanently. Yield now, and I will ensure your defeat is swift and painless." His voice was calm. "I don't yield." Nodded, respect flickering across his reptilian features. "Then we fight with honor." The combat gong sounded. Charged immediately, closing the distance with surprising speed for his size. His energy staff swung its head, dropped and rolled left. The staff crackled through empty air where he had been standing, pivoted, blade slashing downward. Hits leg from the side. The honey badger's teeth found a gap between scale plates, biting hard, roared and swung his shield arm down, trying to bash away. The honey badger released and dodged, moving like liquid shadow. Scrambled behind a rock formation. He needed to think. Was stronger, bigger, better armed. Direct combat meant certain defeat. He had to use strategy. Pressed forward, both energy staffs crackling with power. He swung them in a pattern, creating a web of dangerous energy that couldn't dodge forever. The human boy backed toward the arena wall, apparently trapped. Then struck again, this time its ankle. The warrior kicked reflexively, but the honey badger anticipated the movement. He caught the foot mid-kick, claws digging in, pulling. His balance shifted. For just a moment, he was vulnerable. Saw the opening. He sprinted forward, staying low beneath's weapon range. His knife flashed not to kill, but to disable. The blade found the straps holding shield to his arm, cut clean through. The shield fell away. Spun, trying to catch with his remaining weapons, but was already rolling away, following, both moving in perfect coordination. The crowd was on their feet, shouting. This wasn't the quick defeat they expected. The human was actually fighting back, using speed and teamwork against superior strength. Changed tactics. He threw one energy staff at, forcing the boy to dodge, then charged directly. If he could eliminate the animal, the boy would be easier to handle. But didn't retreat. The honey badger stood his ground, waiting until committed to his attack. At the last second, dropped low and darted between his legs. The warrior tried to stop his charge, but momentum carried him forward. He crashed into the rock formation, scales scraping against stone. Grabbed the thrown energy staff from the ground. It was heavy, designed for four-armed strength, but he could lift it. When turned, swung the staff not at the warrior, but at his remaining energy staff. The two weapons connected with a shower of sparks. Energy feedback surged through both weapons. Staff flickered and died, overloaded. Now the warrior had only his blade. One weapon against two opponents who moved like they shared one mind. Back toward the center of the arena, blade raised defensively. His breathing was heavy. Blood seeped from several bite wounds on his legs and arms. Not serious injuries, but they added up. He looked at with new understanding. You fight well, human child, better than I expected. Didn't lower his guard. I told you I don't yield. Neither do I, said, but his voice held doubt now. They circled each other, could see the warrior calculating, looking for an opening, paced nearby, ready to attack or defend. Lunged suddenly, blade aimed its chest. It was a desperate move, all or nothing, but not quite fast enough. The blade caught his arm, cutting through his shirt, drawing blood. Pain shot through his body, but he didn't stop moving. Launched himself at sword arm. His teeth clamped onto the warrior's wrist, roared and tried to shake him off, but honey badgers don't let go. The bite pressure increased. His fingers spasmed. The blade fell from his grip. Kicked the blade away across the arena floor. Then he pressed the energy staff against his chest, not activating it, just holding it ready. Yield, said quietly. You fought with honor, there's no shame in yielding. Looked at the human child holding a weapon at his chest, at the honey badger still clamped to his wrist, at the blood on his own scales from a dozen small wounds. He could continue fighting, but he would lose, he knew it. The boy knew it. The entire galaxy watching knew it. I yield, said, his voice carrying clearly through the arena. Released his wrist immediately, stepped back, lowering the weapon. The combat gong sounded, signaling the trial's end. The crowd erupted. The noise was deafening. Aliens from every species stood and roared approval. Even those who had bet against seemed impressed by what they had witnessed. Extended one hand, too. The human boy took it, and the massive warrior pulled him into a respectful embrace. You are stronger than your size suggests, Morgan. Your companion is a worthy guardian. The galaxy was wrong about humans. You are not weak. You are clever and brave and merciful. Turned to the crowd and raised his hand high. I fought with honor, and I was defeated with honor. This child from Earth has earned respect, he addressed directly. I volunteer to sponsor human colony expansion. They deserve their place among us. The crowd's approval grew louder. Lisa watched from the viewing box, tears streaming down her face. They had done it. 2 trials down, 1 to go. But Ambassador stood in the council box, his segmented body rigid with displeasure. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The human was supposed to fail to prove that humanity needed protection. He activated his private communication device, sending coded messages. The 3rd trial needed to be different, harder, final. In the arena, medical teams treated his arm wound. It wasn't deep, would heal quickly. Received fresh water and food. Both rested, preparing for whatever came next. That night couldn't sleep. His arm throbbed despite the medicine. He kept replaying the fight wondering what he could have done better, faster, smarter. Pressed against his side, offering comfort. One more trial, buddy, whispered. Then we can go home. The honey badger made a soft chuffing sound, as if agreeing. Morning came too soon. Returned to the arena, exhausted but determined. The crowd was even larger than before, packed into every available space. He walked to the center of the combat floor and waited. His voice began the announcement. The third and final trial test's ultimate survival capability, Morgan will face. The council leader's voice paused. Even through the speakers heard confusion, then continued, but his tone had changed. The third trial opponent has been changed without council approval, releasing the beast now. Lisa stood in the viewing box, shouting protests. Other council members argued, but it was too late. The opposite gate opened, larger than before. Something massive emerged into the arena light. The beast was a nightmare made flesh. 4 meters tall at the shoulder, 6 legs ending in claws like sword blades, jaws that could crush steel. Its hide was covered in thick plates like natural armor. Red eyes, chemical bright with artificial rage, locked onto. This wasn't a trained warrior fighting for honor. This was a predator, drugged and enraged, released for one purpose: to kill. His blood went cold. This violated every term of the challenge, but there was no stopping it now. The beast was loose, and he was in the arena with it. The beast moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. Its 6 legs pounded across the arena floor, claws leaving gouges in the metal. Sprinted toward the rock formations, racing beside him. Behind them, the monster roared, a sound that shook the air and made the crowd gasp in fear. Dove behind a large rock just as the beast's claw slashed through the space where he had been. The claw struck the rock instead, cracking it. Pieces of stone exploded outward. This was different from fighting. The warrior had followed rules, shown restraint, fought with honor. This creature had no honor, only rage and hunger. Attacked the beast's rear leg, trying to draw its attention away from. His teeth found flesh, but the beast's hide was thick. Bit down harder, using all his strength. The beast roared and spun, faster than expected. One massive paw swung around and caught the honey badger, sending him flying across the arena. Hit the wall and fell, stunned. Screamed. He saw his companion lying motionless and felt rage replace his fear. He grabbed a piece of broken rock and hurled it at the beast's head. The rock bounced off its armored hide without effect, but it got the creature's attention. The beast turned its red eyes on and charged again. Ran along the arena wall, looking for anything he could use as a weapon or shelter. The beast was right behind him, close enough that he could feel its hot breath. One of its claws caught his leg, knocking him down. Rolled, barely avoiding the jaws that snapped at his head. In the viewing box, Lisa was screaming for the trial to stop. Other council members were demanding explanations. Security teams were trying to access the arena, but the safety locks had been engaged. Someone had planned this. Someone wanted dead. Scrambled to his feet, limping. His leg throbbed where the claw had caught him. Blood soaked through his pants. The beast circled him, moving slowly now, confident in its kill. That's when noticed something. The beast wasn't moving naturally. Its movements were jerky, uncoordinated despite its speed. Foam dripped from its jaws. Its eyes, those burning red eyes, weren't focused properly. He remembered Amy Park's briefings. Beasts were dangerous predators, but they were also intelligent. They hunted in coordinated packs on their home world. They cared for their young. They weren't mindless killers. This one had been turned into something unnatural. Looked closer as the beast circled. There on its neck, barely visible beneath the armored plates. A small device, blinking red, pumping something into the creature's bloodstream. Chemical rage. This beast wasn't trying to kill him because it wanted to. It was being forced to, driven mad by drugs pumping through its system. The creature lunged, dodged, but his injured leg slowed him. Claws raked across his back, tearing his shirt, drawing blood. He fell forward, rolling to absorb the impact. The beast stood over him, jaws opening for the killing bite. Looked up into those red, pain-filled eyes. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I'm sorry they did this to you." The beast hesitated, just for a moment. Something in his voice, in his lack of fear, penetrated the chemical haze. From across the arena stirred. The honey badger shook his head, dazed but alive. He saw on the ground the monster above him and charged despite his injuries. Hit the beast's leg again, biting, clawing, using every ounce of his strength. The creature turned, trying to shake him off. Seized the moment. He grabbed onto the beast's back leg, pulled himself up using the armored plates like handholds, and climbed. The beast thrashed, trying to throw him off, but held on. He climbed higher, reaching for the neck for that blinking device. His fingers found it. The injector was attached with metal clamps designed to prevent removal. The beast bucked violently. His grip slipped. He was going to fall. If he fell now, he would land directly beneath those massive claws. Then did something incredible. The honey badger stopped attacking. Instead, he moved in front of the beast's face, standing perfectly still, staring into those red eyes. The beast focused on, confused by this small creature that had stopped fighting but didn't flee. In that moment of stillness, yanked the injector free. The metal clamps broke. The device came loose in his hand, trailing tubes filled with red liquid. He threw it across the arena as hard as he could. The beast roared and threw off. He hit the ground hard, the breath knocked from his lungs. The creature stood over him again, jaws opening. But this time something was different. The red glow in its eyes was fatting. The chemical rage was draining from its system. The beast shook its massive head, like waking from a nightmare. It looked at lying bleeding on the ground, at standing protectively nearby, at the arena full of screaming aliens. Confusion replaced rage in its eyes. Coughed, tasting blood. "It's okay," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "You're okay now." The beast lowered its head, sniffing at. Its breath was hot and smelled like meat, but there was no aggression now, just weariness and pain. Slowly, carefully, reached up and touched the creature's armored snout. The beast flinched but didn't pull away. His hands stroked gently, the same way he petted when the honey badger was frightened. "They hurt you," said. "They made you into something you're not. I'm sorry." The beast made a sound, low and mournful. Then, to the astonishment of everyone watching, it lay down beside. Its massive body curled slightly, protectively, around the wounded human child. Limped over and pressed against other side. The arena fell completely silent. Medical teams finally broke through the security locks and rushed onto the combat floor. They stopped when they saw the scene. A bleeding human boy lying between a honey badger and a massive predator that should have killed him, all three wounded, all three at peace. Dr. Chris Hayes from Haven 7 had flown in for the trials. He approached slowly, hands raised. "I'm going to treat you now." "Help the beast first," said. "It's been suffering longer than me." The beast allowed the medical teams to approach. It was calm now, though wary. They began treating its wounds and checking for other devices. They found 2 more injectors hidden beneath its plates. Someone had wanted this creature out of control. Council security arrested Ambassador within the hour. Evidence showed he had arranged for the beast's capture, drugging, and release. He had violated every rule of the challenge, endangered thousands of spectators, and attempted murder through proxies. 3 days later, after had recovered enough to walk, invited him to address the full Galactic Council. Entered the chamber with at his side, his arm in a brace, bandages covering the wounds on his back and leg. Thousands of representatives watched him, some with respect, some with shame. Stood at the speaking platform and took a breath. "I didn't come here to prove I was strong. I came to prove that humans don't need special protection, that we can stand on our own in this galaxy." He paused, looking around the chamber. "But I learned something in that arena. The beast didn't attack me because it was evil. It attacked because someone made it that way. Someone took a creature that should have been respected and turned it into a weapon. Rule 7 was created to protect me, but it was the wrong solution. The problem wasn't that I needed protection. The problem was that some species thought it was acceptable to threaten children, to use violence instead of talking, to create monsters out of innocent creatures." His voice grew stronger. "I don't want Rule 7 to protect just me. I want it to protect everyone. Every species that's trying to build a peaceful life. Every colony that just wants to grow food and raise families. Every creature that deserves to live without being turned into a weapon." He looked directly at. "Change Rule 7. Make it simple. No established species may threaten or attack colonies from developing civilizations. No one creates weapons out of living beings. No one uses violence when words should be enough. That's the rule the galaxy needs." The chamber was silent for a long moment, then stood. The warrior raised all 4 arms in salute. "I support this proposal." Other representatives began standing. One by one, species that had opposed humanity now voiced their support. Even, who had started the whole conflict years ago, stood and nodded his agreement. The vote was nearly unanimous. Rule 7 was reformed, extended to protect all developing colonies, all species trying to find their place in the galaxy. Additional regulations banned the of captured creatures and required strict oversight of any combat trials. Returned to Haven 7 as a hero, not just to humans but to dozens of species across the galaxy. The beast was returned to its home world, healthy and free of drugs. It became a symbol too, proof that even the most dangerous creature deserved compassion. 3 years passed. Morgan was 17 now, taller, broader, training as a colony diplomat. He still lived on Haven 7, though he traveled frequently to other worlds. Was older too, streaks appearing in his fur, but still protective, still gentle with children. On this particular afternoon, stood at the colony landing pad, waiting for a new ambassador from the species. It was their first official visit under the reformed Rule 7. The ship landed smoothly, and the ambassador emerged, her plant-based body moving gracefully down the ramp. She stopped when she saw and her flower-petal face showing uncertainty. "Morgan, I am honored to meet you, but I confess I am nervous. Your reputation is formidable." Smiled and extended his hand. "Don't be nervous, and I just want the same thing everyone wants, to be respected, to live in peace, and to protect what matters to us." The ambassador relaxed and took his hand. "Your speech to the council 3 years ago changed everything. Colonies across the galaxy live safer lives now because of you." "Not because of me," said, "because people finally understood that strength isn't about how much you can hurt others. It's about choosing not to hurt them when you could." Chuffed softly, and the ambassador laughed. "May I?" "He'd like that," said. The ambassador knelt and carefully stroked his head. The honey badger leaned into the touch, enjoying the attention. Children from the colony, human and alien both, played in the nearby square. Trade ships unloaded cargo peacefully. The sky was clear. That evening, Lisa recorded a journal entry for Earth's historical archives. "They told us never to confront the boy or his honey badger. They created Rule 7 out of fear, but taught the galaxy something better. He taught us that the strongest species aren't the ones with the biggest weapons or the toughest armor. They're the ones who know when to fight and when to show mercy. The ones who protect the vulnerable instead of exploiting them." She paused, watching through her office window as he walked through the colony with at his side. Humanity's place in the galaxy was never about being protected by rules. It was about showing everyone what humans truly represent: courage without cruelty, strength without arrogance, and the wisdom to know that a boy and his honey badger could change the universe not through fear, but through compassion. Stopped at the colony garden where the beast memorial stood. A statue carved from local stone, showing the moment the beast had laid down beside him in the arena. Children left flowers there sometimes, remembering the lesson. Even monsters deserve kindness if someone made them that way. Sniffed at the flowers, then looked up at with those dark, intelligent eyes. The same eyes that had stared down pirates and warriors and predators. The same eyes that saw not as a master but as a partner, a friend, family. Knelt and hugged the honey badger. "We did good, buddy. We did really good." In the sky above Haven 7, a council ship passed overhead. Its hull bore the new symbol adopted after the rule reform, a human hand extended toward alien hands, all meeting in peace. Below the symbol, words in every galactic language: strength through respect. Rule 7 remained in the colonial charter, but it was no longer about protecting one boy and one animal from the galaxy. It was about the galaxy protecting everyone from those who would use fear instead of understanding. And somewhere in that galaxy, on dozens of worlds, in hundreds of colonies, beings of every species told their children about Morgan, and not as a warning, as an example. The boy who walked with a predator and made the universe better. Positioned himself between and the monster, hackles raised, teeth bared. But even the fearless honey badger looked small compared to this creature. The beast charged, ran, to maintain flight. Silence fell over the arena. Then the crowd exploded. Aliens from a dozen species rose from their seats, cheering. Others sat stunned, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard but steady. Trotted to his side, tongue lolling, looking pleased with himself. His voice returned. "The first trial is complete. Morgan and his companion have demonstrated tactical intelligence and teamwork. The second trial will begin tomorrow." As walked off the arena floor, Lisa waited in the tunnel. She grabbed him in a tight hug. "You were amazing." Smiled. "That was the easy part. Tomorrow will be harder. Rules to protect you. But you're not weak, are you? Smiled slightly. No, we're just careful about when we use our strength. Outside the medical bay, colony children pressed against the windows, trying to see the famous honey badger. Parents held them back, but they whispered excitedly about the boy who walked with a predator and made pirates run away. Rule 7 remained in effect, but the galaxy had learned something new that day. The rule wasn't needed to protect Morgan. It was needed to protect everyone else from what would happen if they threatened him. Treatment, others pointed out that it prevented unnecessary conflict. Lisa stood slowly. The human colonies accept this compromise. We will ensure Morgan remains on Haven 7 under colony supervision. In return, we expect all species to respect Rule 7. Brought down his arms with a resounding crash. It is decided. Rule 7 is now in effect. This session is adjourned. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, Lisa reviewed the footage one more time. Walking through the forest, completely calm, while a honey badger capable of fighting trained soldiers walked at his side. She smiled slightly. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans from they protected their own. Always.